Hey guys, how you doing today? As I do on this channel all the time, I read National Post articles, specifically their commentary, and essentially reveal it for what it is, which is far-right neoliberal, at the very least neoliberal, sometimes fascist, but probably in this case neoliberal propaganda. And I dismantle it, right? I think it's an important thing to do. I don't see people doing it on the regular, and I think it's a place like the National Post, who regularly says the most outrageous things you will ever hear, calling like Justin Trudeau's a socialist. Justin Trudeau's not a socialist, among all kinds of other things. So worth going through this article, as I do all the time. And guys, don't you think like a nice Canadian flag right here? Don't you think I should get a Canadian flag and just put it right here on my wall, eh? Spruce the place up a little bit. What do you think, John? Okay, leave a comment below on that. Okay, let's get into this. Randall Denley. Now, Randall Denley, first time showing up on this channel. Congratulations, Randall. You made it to the Canadian commie. Good for you, Randall. Good for you. Randall Denley, a challenger to Doug Ford's crown as Canada's King of COVID Caution. Snappy title, Randall. Snappy title. Doug Ford's crown as Canada's King of COVID Caution. Right? I love the alliteration. Pretty standard propaganda tactic, right? We love alliteration. It sticks in our ear. We like it. Right from the title. Doug Ford is not the king of COVID caution. Like, period. It's so obvious, it's scary, and it's stupid, Randall. Like, it's stupid that you would call Doug Ford the king of COVID caution. And you'll see how stupid that is, even in your own article. You'll see how stupid that is. And then the subline. John Tory and his sidekick medical officer of health, Eileen de Villa, want to replace facts about what is happening with fear about what might happen. I guarantee that Randall Denley is not interested in facts. Especially if, calling John Tory's medical officer of health a sidekick, this is the person who's responsible for knowing the facts on the issue, and claiming that they're not using this is a classic conservative propaganda tactic, right? Blame the opposition for what you are guilty of. Conservatives are regularly guilty of not caring about facts and instead fear-mongering, right? That's a classic conservative tactic. Just when it looked like Ontario Premier Doug Ford had locked down the title as Canada's most cautious pandemic politician, he hasn't, not even close. I would argue that the premiers of Saskatchewan, Manitoba, the entire Atlantic provinces have been way more cautious than Doug Ford. And for goodness sakes, Doug Ford is literally constantly flirting with reopening Toronto, right? For money. It's extremely obvious. And so this caution kind of thing, it's stupid. It is. It's just a stupid thing to say. Along comes Toronto Mayor John Tory to steal the crown. Tory's plea to keep his city locked down for an additional 2 weeks is timid and illogical, even by Ontario standards. We're still above 1,000 cases a day. A lot of these cases are coming out of Toronto. Toronto is the most densely packed area in Canada. It makes complete sense to keep this place locked down, and I would actually argue that we need further lockdowns. What we're doing right now is clearly not working, right? This whole send everybody to work on the TTC, and then do curbside, right? Have all the workers mingle with one another, and then have everybody go back home on the TTC. I mean, I can't imagine why this thing is spreading. I don't know what's going on. If Toronto reopens on February 22nd as scheduled, it will almost certainly be in what the province calls the grey lockdown zone. Tory has said so himself. That means the stay-at-home order becomes a stay-at-home request, and all non-essential retailers would be able to reopen at 25% capacity. That's not exactly a life-threatening free-for-all. Rather, it's a modest make-good gesture from Ford, the only premier to favor big box retailers over others. I don't really understand why you're not reporting on that last sentence, right? Ford, the only premier to favor big box retailers over others. And I also don't understand why, like, no, I actually do understand this, but really clearly here, Randall does not care about workers whatsoever, right? A reopening of our economy is definitely a threat to the workers, the frontline workers, right? The heroes, right? Remember how at the start of this we were calling those people heroes? Some of them got pay increases and then got those pay increases taken away, right? And it's really, really obvious Randall does not care about those people at all. They don't compute in his reasoning, and you'll see it as we go through this, right? That some workers will die, right? That might be the best that you'll get out of him. Tories' request that Ford not rush the Toronto reopening gives a whole new meaning to the word rush. Restaurants, bars, gyms, hair salons, and non-essential retailer have been fully or partially closed since November 25th. With the exception of retail, they would stay closed under the province's restriction system until Toronto's COVID numbers improve. And they haven't. Like, I mean, we had a big spike and then they went down, but we're still above 1,000. And the medical community has been pretty clear. Like, we're not going to even start talking about reopening until we get below 1,000. And we haven't, like, sure, we've dipped down once, but, like, the average is above 1,000. This sounds like whinging, right? This sounds like Randall, why am I forgetting his last name? I didn't. Randall Denley. This sounds like Randall is just whinging, right? He's just complaining because he can't go get served in a restaurant. He can't go work out in a bar, in a gym, rather. He can't get drinks at a bar, right? He can't get his hair cut at a hair salon, right? He's whinging because he wants to put workers in the line of fire and increase their danger so that he can go get his Timmies or go get go have some booze in a bar, right? So this is just whining from Randall, right? Because he doesn't actually care about the workers. He doesn't actually think about them. They don't compute in his like, they're just are NPCs, right? They're just part of the furniture, right? It's like he sits on a chair, he gets served by a waitress. Those are the same to Randall Denley. Ford's reintroduction of the province's color-coded restrictions plan earlier this month was a slow, grudging, but appropriate return to making pandemic decisions based on facts, such as case rate, percentage of tests that are positive, and the virus's reproduction rate. Tory and his sidekick medical officer of health, Eileen de Villa, want to replace facts about what is happening with fear about what might happen. The color-coding system is a laughing stock. Randall Denley is an idiot for saying that it is effective. It is arbitrary. The Ford government has actively used it in stupid ways that we have seen. This is like a baby's first propaganda article, right? Like, he's done like no research. He doesn't know anything about what's actually happening in this region. And he should be called out for it. So hi, Randall. How you doing? Your article is stupid and you should feel stupid for having written it. I'm sure you got paid for it, though, so congratulations. Earlier this week, de Villa said, "I have never been worried about the future as I am today. Her concern is the emergence of more easily transmittable variants of the COVID-19 virus. It's a legitimate worry, but not one that will be eliminated by delaying reopening by another 2 weeks." What are you talking about, dude? Like, what are you talking about? Lockdowns, like actual lockdowns, are the way to defeat this virus, right? We haven't even done an actual lockdown since the initial one way back. That worked, by the way. Did you notice how it worked? You notice how the initial lockdown, this is something these propagandists want you to completely forget. The initial lockdown worked, right? We had a big spike up and then plateaued and then we went back down and then we like gravitied out. And then it was when we reopened and then started to act like, oh no, everything's normal again. And then we reopened the schools, right? And now we're doing this like fake lockdown that doesn't work. And there are other countries who have actually defeated this virus. And how did they defeat it? They locked down. This halvesies lockdown thing, like people like Randall Denley can't get through their head. They don't work. right? And this statement is just something a stupid person would say, right? But not one that will be eliminated by delaying reopening another 2 weeks. Yeah, it will. Like, not only will it will, reopening will actually encourage it to continue growing, right? The problem with making pandemic decisions based on fear, which is not what they're doing, they're making their decisions based on the evidence that they have, right? Is that fear is limitless and immeasurable. If Toronto stays locked down until March 9th, as Tory and Davila want, there will still be reasons to fear the virus variant on March 10th. But Randall Denley doesn't deal with that, right? He's writing this in his room, right, where he lives, and he gets his assistant to bring him Timmy's or to bring him whatever he needs, and probably has them sanitize their hands, right? Probably has them take precautions while they're going out. He doesn't need to deal with any of that, so he gets to write these childish little articles where he whinges about how he can't go get Timmy's. What will the next layers of the argument be? When spring comes, people will be tempted to get out and socialize more. Better lock down, because we didn't over Christmas, right? We didn't over winter, right? Instead of locking down now, when everybody wants to be staying inside anyway, instead of doing a proper lockdown over the winter, we're going to have to do one over spring, because we're not listening to evidence, we're listening to idiots like Randall Denley. Maybe things could reopen in fall if everyone is vaccinated, but even then, you know how the virus can flare up. Better lock down. But this argument is so facetious because we've never locked down properly, right? We've done this halvesies thing, which the World Health Organization says doesn't work, right? This article is just whinging, and it's pathetic that it's been published in the National Post. That, boy, is that sad. And then there's the economic case that Tory offered to buttress his position. There is no point in reopening if we are just going to have to close again, right? I don't think there's anyone who would vote for that. Well, Randall Denley would. The mayor said, "This is a popular point with lockdown enthusiasts who argue that the economy needs to remain locked down to avoid having to lock down the economy. This is a circular argument with no exit rate." It's not a circular argument, dude. You're just revealing how stupid you are by saying that. It's not a circular argument. Do a proper lockdown, right? Do a proper lockdown with proper legislation, with proper rules, properly, and that means that in the future, the virus will have declined, and so you no longer need to do lockdowns. Randall Denley is, actually stupid, and is speaking in a very stupid way, and doesn't seem to understand what a circular argument is. Doesn't seem to actually understand the argument that's being presented. Ford is reinforcing the ability of local medical officers of health to step in quickly to impose greater restrictions on those the province mandates. This is what the province calls an emergency brake. It is better than a perpetual lockdown. No one is arguing for a perpetual lockdown, dude. I think that's the beating heart of this propaganda campaign, right? No one is calling for a perpetual lockdown. We're calling for an effective lockdown, right? No one wants to see a lockdown forever, right? But what we're doing now is not a lockdown, right? Right? What we're doing now is not a lockdown. People leave their houses, get on the TTC, go to work, mingle with their coworkers, get back on the TTC, go home. That's not a lockdown. Some proponents of a longer lockdown, of an effective lockdown, right? Look at how he's doing this. Look how he's doing this, right? It's about length, right? We want to be in a lockdown forever. No. We're literally calling for 2 weeks of an effective actual lockdown, right? And the fact that this is being omitted and this is being propagandized against is dangerous, in my view. Some proponents of a longer lockdown in Toronto and Peel region, which has made the same request, say anything less would be recklessness on Ford's part. It's an inaccurate depiction of a premier who has been cautious to a fault. It's so stupid compared to peers across his country. Oh, and look, that is unless one includes Atlantic Canada, which closed its borders and pretend the rest of the country didn't exist. So I guess the king of caution is actually the premier of all of the Atlantic provinces, right? As I said, which you admit, right? So you've debunked your own article within the article. You're just expecting no one to actually read this, Randall, right? And the people who are supposed to be reading, I guess, will just be like, the Atlantic provinces, they don't count. Like, it's in your own article, dum-dum. Accusing Ford of recklessness is so popular that the province's teaching unions even trotted it out to describe his wild and crazy plan to move March break to April. The argument fell flat on the grounds that it didn't make any sense whatsoever. If the teachers think that's reckless, they should check out Quebec. Premier Francois Legault is reopening movie theaters, arenas, and indoor pools so that families can get out and enjoy themselves on March break. Yeah, that is reckless. And we shouldn't be comparing ourselves to, like, total recklessness. It's like how whenever people compare us to the United States and say, like, well, at least we're not the States, right? And then as if that closes the issue, and as if it's like, we don't need to bother improving our society any further because we're slightly better than the United States. This is the same kind of argument, right? Like, we don't need to actually try to improve our situation or our society, nor can we call Doug Ford, who has been reckless, who is reckless, who doesn't care about workers the way that Randall Denley here doesn't care about workers. No, we don't need to worry about any of that, because there's one place that's slightly worse than what we're doing, right? We don't need to tolerate that, and the argument is, like, it's not the dumbest thing that Randall Denley has said in this article, but it's pretty dumb. In Toronto and Peel, however, fear reigns supreme. Yeah, we're, like, at the height of the pandemic, dude. Like, we're, well, not the height, but, like, we're in a pandemic, of course, there's fear. That's a challenge for Ford, who wants to reopen everything, like Randall Denley wants to reopen everything so they can go get their Timmies, right? If he gives those communities the delay they want, it will be yet another blow to retailers who have spent money preparing for a promised opening. I'd be very surprised to find out that that's happened. The Ontario Cabinet meets Friday to decide what to do. Bet on an extension of the current lockdown, even though it means the same decision will have to be faced again in 2 weeks. After all, Doug Ford is a cautious guy. Another joke article from the National Post, and what's scary, and the reason why I do these things, is like, these guys need to be confronted directly with how dangerous and stupid they are, and how they're actively working to misinform their readers, right? Like, this, in my view, is like National Enquirer level of misinforming, right? Doug Ford has been incredibly reckless and is constantly and consistently in compromise with the capitalist class. And as someone who has worked under these lockdowns, they are not lockdowns. You wake up, you leave your house, you get on the TTC, you go to work, you mingle with your coworkers, right? You get back on the TTC, you go home. That's not a lockdown. That's not a lockdown. And anybody who pretends like it's a lockdown, like, lockdown has become the largest propaganda term that has been used to describe what is happening in Toronto. If you wake up, go onto a transportation device where there are hundreds, if not thousands, of people who are not necessarily social distancing, and then you go to a place where there are a bunch of people who have done exactly the same thing, and they're coming from all over the city, and they're mingling in a workplace to then turn around, get back on the TTC, and go back to their houses, it's not a lockdown, bud. Like, that should be black and white. That should be black and white. But Randall Denley, who doesn't care about the workers, who is whinging, like, this whole article is him whinging about the fact that he can't go get his hair cut. That's the bottom line on this article, and it's playing to those people who also don't care about workers. Like, when I've been in the workplace, I've been in retail for 15 years, right? I've been in retail for 15 years, and on the regular, I meet people, and I can pick them out pretty fast now. I meet people on the regular who consider me to be part of the furniture. That, like, when I was making lattes at Starbucks, I might as well have just been like, beep, boop, robot machine making Starbucks drinks for customers, beep, boop, right? Like, I was not different than the machine that was actually making the latte. I'm not like I'm just part of the Starbucks experience, right? Or I'm just part of the wallpaper, right? As far as these guys are concerned, and well, you can see it. You talk to people, and you never actually have a genuine conversation with people, right? Like, I shouldn't say never, but like with lots and lots of people, you don't, like, they come, they ask their information, they get what they want out of you, and then they leave, and there is no continuation of in any kind of human way. And that's who Randall Denley is, right? He does not care about the workers. He does not care about the interests of workers. He cares about going to get his Timmies, and he cares about the bottom line of his corporate donors. That's what Randall Denley cares about, and that's what the National Post cares about, which is why I have to do these response videos, because if I don't, then this kind of dangerous nightmare neoliberal garbage becomes part of the public sphere, right? Becomes part of the public consciousness. And the public actually starts to believe this nonsense. And so what happens, right? Let's say the public actually believes this nonsense. So then we reopen, right? Oh, well, what do you think's going to happen, right? Cases are going to go up, right? But they're just workers. They can die. That's fine, right? So cases go up. The workers die, which is fine, because who cares about workers? We'll just replace them. And then if I guess, we got to go back into lockdown again. What a circular argument. Like, this is an embarrassing article once again to come out of the National Post, and the accusation that John Tory or his health minister are not using facts to make their decision making is outrageous. Like, not only outrageous, but like baseless and very, very, very stupid. Like a very, very stupid thing to say. So once again, National Post showing which side of the aisle they're on. Okay, this is going to be the end of me, guys. If you've made it to the end of this video, you have to subscribe. You have to subscribe. Those are interstellar law. That's the rules. You have to subscribe if you've made it here. Here's the like button. Boink. Like button. Hit that like button right there. Dunk, 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 dunk. Make sure you share it as well. Really, really piss off your conservative uncle, right? Like, do you have a conservative uncle who sends you National Post articles and you feel like, I can never get him? Hi. Guys, I'm recently unemployed because I said the word union twice in my workplace. So if I could get $1, down below I've got a Patreon, right? Just send $1 my way. It makes me feel good about myself. Really, really brightens my mood. Okay, guys. I love you all. Good luck out there. Don't let these guys gaslight you, right? These guys want to gaslight you. That's what they're doing. They're trying to convince you that the thoughts you have in your head are isolated and make you crazy, right? That, oh, you only are the person who is thinking this way, and you are out, like, wow, like, take a look at this big National Post article that everyone agrees with and completely disagree, and you're in completely disagreement. No, you need to keep going to work harder, right? No, all of that is gaslighting. There are people like me in the world. There are hundreds and thousands of people like me. There are millions of people like me out in the world who agree with you, who think that what you're doing and what you're thinking is the right thing to do. Don't let these guys gaslight you. And that's the number one reason I do these articles, is to show that these guys are gaslighting us on behalf of a billionaire class that has structured the system to destroy them, us, and itself, so that they can jam money into offshore accounts and be like, I have the most money, I'm the best. It's childish, it's pathetic, and Randall Denley, you're childish and pathetic. Okay. Good luck. We're going to need it.